as an advisor and as a board member, Ike lets me make a lot of free decisions. And he never tells me what to do. My whole now 2.5 years working with Ike, I don't remember a single time that he said, Julian, you should be doing this. No, not a single time. But he has asked me in that whole time probably over 1,000 questions. And that's incredibly powerful, right? So when we started working together, which was at the beginning of 2021, I think in April 2021, we were seeing that our product works incredibly well. Yeah. So we became very ambitious. Yeah, we scaled massively, very, very quickly. Just to give you a number, I think we went from 45,000 customers to over 1 million within like 8 months. Yeah, so like really quickly, really quickly.
Wow.
And we thought we could replicate this, and that was a hypothesis that we set up. Yeah. And we then expanded very quickly to Ghana and to Kenya. Ghana worked relatively okay. Kenya completely did not work. And we, for like 1.5 years, tried to make it work. But that was to a large degree more, I would say, my stubbornness than the advice. And basically, one of the things that really basically didn't work in that our expansion was that on paper everything seems fine. Yeah, basically when you look at the economics of a country, when you look at the rationing of a country and so on, when you look at the market sizing, clients, all that works well, but there's often kind of like some industry dynamics that you don't know before you go there. And that was really for us the case. And then at some point, even especially with kind of like the venture downturn in 2022, then 1 year later, we of course had to become significantly more cost efficient, and then had to cut down everything that cost a lot of burn. And Kenya at the time was burning a lot of money. So we decided to close down Kenya. So that's one. And here Ike was super helpful in that process. Yeah, so because de facto we had to restructure a whole organization in a very short period of time, right? We had to do number one. We had quite a lot of international and global staff, and we needed to localize those. Yeah, so we needed to restructure our management team, which is a lot of very, very difficult discussions. Yeah, which is because essentially, you know, like in Nigeria, it's very hard to earn dollars that you can use to pay international staff. So I had to have a huge amount of very, very tough discussions with employees. How do you do that? I was never in this situation before, but Ike had done it several times before. So that was incredibly helpful. When you're a founder, you're kind of like in a very, very lonely place, right? And with Ike, you always have somebody on your side among those trades. And that's very, very important for you, right? I can give you scenarios where like 1 o'clock at night, I called Ike and I said, hey, look, we got a problem. And at 1:30, he called me back. So that's really good. That's really powerful. Then on the actual restructuring, how do you terminate 40 people? Yeah, which is if you think about it, it's kind of like the hardest thing you can do.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of like you have people coming to join you. You promise them, you know, like a great future, and then something doesn't work out, so you have to de facto lay them off. Incredibly hard. Yeah. And then you're very happy when you kind of like have somebody as a senior in the background who can you know, number one, tell you it's the right thing to do, and confirm. Basically, I wouldn't say tell you what's the right thing to do, but confirm what you think you have to do. And then number two, it's a whole process, right? It's like from making the decision to communicating to having to deal with the consequences and so on. And here it's incredibly helpful to have somebody experienced in your back. Yeah. Especially because all of us co-founders were first-time founders. And Ike is for me is that wise uncle that I can call. Yeah. And that has been throughout over now almost 2 years, incredibly valuable in situations when I'm lost. You will now see kind of like before I would even call right now my co-founders and kind of like would tell them, hey, look, we have a big problem, something is going on. I would first call Ike. like Ike would be my first call. If somebody from management who's super important resigns or whatsoever, I call Ike. If I'm having a big blow on a deal that's threatening to the company, I call Ike. Why? Because essentially he breaks down the problem when I'm kind of like in panic. Yeah, I would say in panic. To then for me not to break the communication towards the rest of the company. I'll take kind of like, let's say we get a blow, and I would now communicate it into the company, but I have not thought of everything. I have not considered all the factors. I have not considered, hey, it's actually not that bad. We're just going to have to solve it now over the next couple of months. I kind of like have Ike here as kind of like my buffer. Yeah, and that for sure increases kind of like, I would say, the certainty that, or also the confidence that my team has in myself as CEO. Because basically my first, I would call it like emotional exhaust is not the team or not the co-workers, but it's Ike. It's Ike. And that way I can go also to my team now and say, hey, look, guys, this and this happened. Yeah, but we're going to do so and so to compensate it. And that increases the confidence significantly. And if I would have to do that by myself, I would not be able to do that. Quite simply, I would simply not be able to do it. And that for sure would have had a huge impact on the company. So if you now ask me for on the perspective how valuable is that advice, I'm pretty sure that without that, I'm not sure if we would still be together as a company. And I'm serious.